Have you ever really looked at a check and thought about it? How can this simple piece of paper possibly be worth millions or even billions of dollars? It seriously feels like a magic trick. But it's not magic. It's a system of trust and law that we've been perfecting for centuries. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this ancient magic that's still all around us.
So, to really get why these powerful pieces of paper even exist, we need to go back to basics. We have to start with a really simple, timeless problem. Let's just call it the problem with a cow.
Okay, I want you to imagine you're a farmer. You've got a cow to sell. Now, what are you going to accept for it? A big pile of coins? Maybe some paper money? Or what if the buyer just promises to pay you later? This isn't a trick question, you know? It's the fundamental challenge of all business, really. How do you exchange something of value safely and reliably?
And that really breaks down the dilemma, doesn't it? If you demand cash, sure, you get your money right away, but carrying around a huge wad of cash is risky. You've got to worry about counterfeits, you could get robbed, and it's just a pain to count. On the other hand, if you offer credit, like a simple IOU, you might get more customers, but you're also taking a huge risk that you might never see that money. Neither option is perfect.
But here's the thing. This problem is not new at all. In fact, merchants and bankers figured out a brilliant solution for it over 1,000 years ago. And it was an incredibly sophisticated system, all built on a simple piece of paper.
Just get a load of this. By the 10th century, there was a financial network so powerful that a merchant in Morocco could write a check, and it would be honored by a banker all the way over in Basra. That's in modern-day Iraq. We're talking thousands of miles across deserts and seas, all connected by a piece of paper. Absolutely incredible.
And listen, these were not for small amounts. The geographer Ibn Hawqal wrote about seeing one of these checks for 42,000 dinars. Do you know what the equivalent of that is today? A mind-blowing $21 million. This wasn't just a neat little convenience. This was the high-powered engine of global trade.
And this wasn't some rare thing that only the super rich did. Nope. As the historian Adamez points out, by the year 1000, bankers were essential. Every trader had an account, and they paid for pretty much everything with checks. It was just how you did business.
This system just kept going on and going for centuries. Here we're looking at something called a Bill of Exchange from the East India Company in 1782. They're still using the same basic idea to move fortunes across their massive empire. So how does it actually work? What gives the paper its power?
Well, it all comes down to the law. The law created a framework for three very specific types of instruments. Basically, three kinds of legally binding paper promises that could be passed from person to person.
Okay, the first and simplest one is the promissory note. It's an unconditional undertaking. All that means is it's a direct, straightforward promise from one person to another. It's basically saying, I promise to pay you this amount of money. That's it. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
And the person who signs it, the one making that promise, the law has a nice, simple name for them. They're called the maker.
All right, next up is the Bill of Exchange. Now this one's a little different. See, it's not a promise, it's an order. The maker isn't promising to pay you themselves. Instead, they are ordering a third person to pay you. So it's less, I promise to pay you, and more, I'm ordering someone else to pay you.
Pay attention to the language here, because this tiny change is absolutely critical. The word undertaking, that promise from the first note, is now replaced with the word order. The maker isn't promising to pay, they are directing a certain person to do the paying. That small shift in wording creates a completely different financial tool.
So, where does the good old check that we all know fit into this? Well, a check is just a special, really common type of bill of exchange. There are two key things that make it a check. First, the order to pay is always given to a banker. And second, it's payable on demand, meaning right now.
So when you write a check, you are the maker, and you are giving a direct order to your banker to take money out of your account and hand it over to someone else. Simple, right? Well, there's one more secret ingredient we need to talk about.
What gives these things their real superpower is that they are negotiable. This is the legal magic right here. It's what allows the value, the money that the paper represents, to be transferred from one person to another almost as easily as cash.
And it works in two main ways. An instrument can be payable to order, which means it's made out to a specific person, and that person has to sign it to pass it on. Or it can be payable to bearer, and that means whoever is physically holding it owns it. It's just like a dollar bill. Possession is ownership.
Okay, so that brings up a good question. What happens when you get a check that's made out to you, payable to your order, but you want to give it to someone else? Well, this is where we get into a really cool concept, the endorsement in blank.
Endorsement is just a fancy legal word for a signature, usually on the back of the check. Now, when the person whose name is on the front just flips it over and signs their name on the back, without saying who to pay it to next, they've just created an endorsement in blank. And this is where it gets really, really powerful. Take a look at this check. It's for almost $1 billion, and it says payable to the order of Sue Ann Arnold. As it is right now, only she or someone she orders can cash it. But if she were to flip that check over and just sign her name on the back, that's an endorsement in blank. And instantly, that check becomes payable to the bearer. It would be like carrying around $1 billion in cash. Wild, right? So, this entire system, born in medieval markets, isn't just some dusty old piece of history. The legal DNA of these ancient instruments is still very much alive and kicking inside the financial tools we use every single day.
I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a check for 30,000 rupees in Pakistan or for billions of dollars in the US, the basic legal idea is exactly the same. It's just a testament to the sheer power of a simple, elegant concept. But the story doesn't actually end with checks. Okay, I want you to take a really close look at this old banknote. Ignore the design, ignore the number, just focus on the words printed on it. Can you make them out? I promise to pay the bearer on demand. Does that sound a little familiar? It should. A currency note, the cash in your pocket, isn't just money. Legally, it's a promissory note issued by the government. It's a direct promise to pay the bearer, that's whoever is holding it, on demand. The magic trick has been hiding in your wallet this whole time.